Sahih Muslim, for example. Okay, so for those of you who are not Muslim in the room, you have to understand, people who are raised in an Islamic context are taught from a very young age, if they're devout, not all Muslims are devout, of course, but those who are devout, as our family was, are taught from a very young age that Muhammad was the most perfect man who ever lived, that he was the best general, that he was the best father, that he was the best husband, that he lived the most upright life, that he followed the Quran to a T. He is the example for Muslims, says chapter 33 of the Quran. He is the perfect exemplar. And that's why in Islam we called him Al-Insan Al-Kamil, the perfect man. Given how perfect Muhammad was, my friend then started bringing accounts to me, saying, what do you do with this account? Do you trust this book? Do you trust Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari? And my answer would be, yes, I do. And then he says, what do you do with this account? And he brought me, one of the first ones he brought me was when Muhammad punched Aisha in the chest.
If scholars were wondering, and they have wondered, like, what else is there? Like, did something else get suppressed that we would like to know about? Mm-hmm. Well, here, this comes, as a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the sense of complacency that many Muslims have gone around with, thinking that, okay, everything has been preserved dot for dot, letter for letter, which actually is not a scholarly way of thinking about the Quran. Our scholars have always known and have always described in our classical books variations in manuscripts, like, it's read like this by Ubay bin Ka'b, it's read like this by Ibn Masud, and so on. And in the Codex of Ibn Masud, it was seen to be written like this. In the Codex of Ubay bin Ka'b, it was seen to be written like this with this or that variation. So these were always known in scholarly circles to have existed.
So when people are learning about Islam, they're not going directly to the Quran. Usually, they're not going directly to the Quran and the Hadith to learn about Islam. They're absorbing it from others. That's exactly what I did, and that's exactly why I said Islam's a religion of peace. It's exactly why I said Muhammad only fought defensive wars. That's exactly why I said the terrorists have nothing to do with Islam. But when you start studying the texts themselves, when you start looking at the Quran, and you start looking at the Hadith, you start looking at the Sirah literature, whether it be Sirah Maghazi or what have you, you will find violence woven into the very traditions of Islam.